It's a buddy film that suddenly got ugly. Hi, I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green. This episode of Right Angle is brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com. And gentlemen, as we record this story is in play and changing as rapidly as the president and Elon Musk can tweet or truth social at each other. But the upshot of it is that ever since Elon Musk left his White House position as the director of the Department of Government Efficiency, he has been openly critical of President Trump's allegedly big, beautiful bill, that is a spending bill that critics say and the Congressional Budget Office says could increase the deficit by $2.5 to $3 trillion over the next 10 years. Republicans in the Senate and the House, most of them, insist that it'll actually save money and that it's the first time that a federal budget, any government budget in the world, has been presented that cuts $1.5 trillion in spending. In any case, the last we heard, which was first thing this morning as we record this, the president said that Elon has gone crazy. Elon suggested that this was a disgusting bill and that the president's name might pop up in the Epstein papers. And so Stephen Green, of course, the media is eating this up. You know, they couldn't wait for this. The multi-billionaire who put about $250 million into President Trump's campaign is now threatening to primary Republicans who support this disgusting spending measure. And the president is basically slowly, at first he was kind of gracious to Mr. Musk for a while, but now he's slowly trying to throw him under the bus and suggests that the only reason that Elon is upset about the federal budget is because they eliminated the subsidies for electric vehicles, and suggesting that he might cancel government contracts that go to Elon Musk's companies. Meanwhile, Musk is suggesting he might turn off some of the technology that the U.S. government relies on. Anyway, back and forth. But Steve, I couldn't help but think, first of all, these two people are not complete idiots. Secondly, the Senate is right now in internal discussions and negotiations with the White House and with the House to eventually come up with a reconciliation of this spending plan that can get enough votes in the House and the Senate. Steve, is it possible that this little soap opera that seems to have come out of nowhere is just a sideshow to allow the Senate negotiators and the White House negotiators to kind of operate behind closed doors and get their business done while the media focuses on this tit-for-tat man-spat?
Wow, that's an awful lot. So let me try and take this one thing at a time. And mostly I want to concentrate on the fun part of this because it's so much fun and less on the policy stuff. First of all, it's always hardest on the children when daddy and daddy fight like this out in public. And this is probably going to be the ugliest breakup we see during Pride Month. And it's been difficult for me personally. Somebody suggested on X yesterday that, I mean, this whole thing blew up on X. I spent the entire afternoon online just crap posting about it because it was fun and not taking sides in this. I don't really care what the sides are, honestly. Somebody posted that if you have anything just terrible to confess, do it right now on Twitter, on X, because nobody's going to notice. And that's when I confess that I've been killing hobos for sport. Sorry, it's just... Anyway, so as I watched all this and I was having a lot of fun with this, let me see if I can pull this up here. It got so over the top and it did it so quickly that I read the tweet where Musk said that Trump is in the Epstein files. You said he suggested? He didn't
and he said, bookmark this. You're going to want it for historical purposes.
Yeah, he came right out and said it. And again, I'm not taking sides here, but that was so over the top that I started thinking, maybe, what if this is all for show? And then there was another thing, and I think it was when Trump came back. Let me see if I can find this here. Do a little scrolling. It was when Trump came back from the Epstein thing and said that the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon Musk's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. And then Musk came back with, in light of the president's statement about cancellation of my government contracts, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. And not only is that over the top, that's almost damn near impossible. They've got contracts to fulfill. They've got astronauts up on the space station. This is just not happening. And that's when I wrote, this is when I became firmly convinced they're putting us on. The Epstein Files tweet got me 80% of the way there, but this is the clincher. Still, hell of a show. But then I waited a few minutes because you gotta have some fun with this. And I said, by firmly convinced, I mean from fleeting moment to moment and quickly back again. Because we have no way of knowing whether or not these guys are putting us on, whether they're doing this for show. You know, this is pro wrestling, right? And then Scott, I kept going back and forth on and these were gag tweets that I was posting. I was crap posting all day. I was going really back and forth between these two are really having it out or these two are really putting us on. Completely unable to decide. But then give me that setup again that you closed your question with me to. Can you do that?
I'm trying
Providing
to
cover?
Yeah. Is it possible that basically this is allowing the media to get focused on this circus while the Senate and the White House engage in negotiations that are fruitful and keep the focus elsewhere?
Yeah. So again, without any of us ever probably knowing, and without having any sort of insider information whatsoever, Scott, I love your theory. I'm going to just say yes, and I think you nailed it.
I was hopeful that was the answer. However, I am still looking for that next post on X where I see Sean Puff Daddy Combs snorting lines off of Trump's tramp stamp. I mean, I just think.
I can make that picture for you if you'd like.
I know, before the show is over here. But anyway, Bill, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. In fact, I'm kind of the opposite of conspiracy theorist. I'm always thinking when somebody is constantly going, look over here, look over here, look over here, that I shouldn't look over there. I should look over here. I should look the other way. There's something else happening that is more important. I'm not going to say that they don't want me to see, but I think the media is such a sucker for this kind of stuff that it's an episode of the Kardashians, with billions of dollars and lives on the line, and they just can't resist. And because there are virtually no substantive reporters in the entire mainstream media complex, there's virtually no risk. Like if you even read the stories about the budget right now, Bill, they'll point out 3 to 5 elements of this omnibus spending monster and make it seem like it's about nothing but that. And then this all of a sudden gets us talking about something else. What is your personal theory on what's going on here?
Well, first of all, this is the first gut punch bad news that I've had since the election in 2024. I admire both of these men enormously, and I think they've both done incredible things for the country. I was sad to see Elon step down from Doge because I thought he did a good job, but this is just a little while ago. But I thought, he's basically got the machine up and running. Elon Musk.
Well, he only had 135 days of that contract to operate as an outside contractor, so he essentially had to.
So what I'm saying is, Elon Musk doesn't need to be sleeping on the floor in a federal office building like he was during those first few days or weeks of the Trump administration. Doge is continuing, to do what it's doing. There's all these different things in play here. So when he stepped down, I was sorry to see him go, but we've had three SpaceX failures in a row now, and he's got other business to attend to. So yeah. I was okay with that. I look at the number of times that I've seen Trump do things that I thought were a little batty, and found out relatively quickly that these were negotiating tactics or strategies. We're going to turn Gaza into a Riviera. The United States is going to move into Gaza, and basically he's maneuvering for the Arabs to come up with a solution. We're going to annex Greenland. We're going to turn Canada into the 51st state. There are rational and reasonable objectives behind this kind of almost insane kind of hyperbole with Donald Trump, and he knows how to make a deal. So the biggest part of me is praying that you two guys are right about this. If it turns out that this whole thing is a manufactured kerfluffle, then my ability to believe that Donald Trump and Elon Musk, both masters of four-dimensional chess, will be forever cemented. But I fear that's not the case. I am deeply concerned that it's been my pleasure over the course of my career and before my career even to know many millionaires. I'm not surrounded by millionaires, but I've met many of them and got to be close to several of them. Millionaires that I've met are people who worked very, very hard because they had a passion in life, and that passion for a quality product made them $1 million or more, and they're the hardest working people. They were always the first into the office, for last out. That kind of millionaire. Billionaires are psychotic.
They're weird.
There's to have in excess of $1,000 million, and Elon Musk now has almost $500,000 million. There's something really different about you. And one of the things that these billionaires seem to have, billionaires now, not millionaires, I'm not extremely humble millionaires and down to earth people, but billionaires have billionaire size egos, and this worries me a lot. I think the Epstein reference was way over a line, and I'm just being honest with you. I'm deeply concerned about this. If this rift is real, then the two biggest champions of American recovery that we've seen in the last 6 months are not only not working together anymore, but if they go to work to actively sabotage each other, we're going to be undoing an awful lot of the good that we saw done in the first 6 months, the historic levels of good. I think the so-called big, beautiful bill may have been the instigator of this. I can't put myself in either one of their positions, but I know that if I'm Elon Musk and I'm putting in those kind of hours working for the government while my SpaceX program seems to be falling apart in order to save, $600, $700 billion, maybe $1 trillion was the goal, and then a bill gets passed spending, additional trillions of dollars of money, I'm going to take that as a repudiation of the mission that I signed up for. So I don't particularly like the big beautiful bill. I think it should have been a small beautiful bill, and so we have nothing left to do but to see this thing play out. But I do hope that this is a 48-hour heated exchange between monumental egos who are going to sooner or later calm down and realize that this is not good for either one of them, because the other quality that billionaires have is they're not stupid. You don't get to have that kind of money or influence or become president of the United States by let me just sum this up briefly. You can shoot yourself in the foot by accident once, but billionaires don't open fire on their own feet with semi-automatic weapons until they can't walk anymore. and I hope that is the case here.
Yeah, and I think the door is always open in especially in both of their worlds for a rapprochement where they, basically say, okay, sport is sport and friendship is friendship, and
it's a little hot under the collar.
Now we got to get back to work. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think there's a little bit of this idea of I don't think they're completely manufacturing this tiff. But I do think it may serve a purpose, two purposes. Number one is a distraction, as I suggested earlier, to keep people from focusing on what's really going on behind the scenes. But in a weird way, it also brings attention to a rather arcane, kind of stuffy business of developing budgets that Americans should pay a lot of attention to, but don't. And so, weirdly, this little Kardashian-like spat is causing people to talk about the federal budget and the national debt and, $34-35 trillion of that. And so not only as a distraction, but actually, oddly enough, as a distraction that brings focus onto what it really should, I think it can serve a purpose, especially if the two counterparts in this have their wits about them and decide to do so. One of the things that's interesting here is that even though the media is treating it like some sort of relationship crisis that needs a marriage therapist, Elon Musk is talking about substantive issues. Now, he's throwing, junk into it, but he is legitimately upset by the fact that he spent all this time trying to save money and then finds out that this so-called big, beautiful bill, as he has said, there's no such thing as a big, beautiful bill. There may be a small, beautiful bill, but not a big, beautiful bill. And that is something, it's good to see somebody passionate about that. Hey, we're trying to save money here. What are you doing? It would have been nice if that conversation could have happened behind the scenes and resulted in action, instead of out here on this public stage where it just, the only people who benefit from it primarily at this point are the media that get additional eyeballs to their content and benefit from advertising dollars or subscriptions or whatever it is that they get because they got people focused on this. Where this could be useful is if either Elon or President Trump says, you know what, I'm sorry about the way I handled this. Forgive my passion and outbursts, but this is important. This means something. This matters to you. It matters to your children. It matters to your grandchildren. It matters to the stability and fidelity of the United States and the rock that we have been around the world to so many countries who can look to us and say, we want to be like them. The only way we're going to sustain that and maintain it is by getting our financial house in order. So here's hoping that more of that happens. And who knows, by the time we post this video, there may have been radical changes in this process. But I would just suggest as a viewer that you not get too distracted by the yammering and focus more on the action. What's really happening and where is this going? For Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members at billwhittle.com for making Right Angle possible.